Is your music room feeling the effects of October chaos? With Red Ribbon Week, Homecoming, and Halloween ramping up student energy, I'm giving you a survival guide and sharing my best high-energy music lessons for October that channel that crazy energy into creative fun.
It's the Happy Music Teacher!
Are you an elementary music teacher who's frustrated and overwhelmed? I'm Jeanette Mahalchik, a happy music teacher who loves teaching every day, but it wasn't long ago I was in your shoes. Join me Wednesdays to help you find happy in your music classroom. Did you know that October is one of the 2 most difficult months to teach in? Yes, that is correct. You know the drill. The schedules are off, the holiday excitement is high, and student focus is low. But instead of fighting chaos, I want you to harness it. Today I'm going to give you my best high energy music lessons for October, for all the fall crazy. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about that, yes, it's October, your kids have settled in, they are in a position where they've gotten to know each other, they've gotten their little buddies, and all the things are happening, and you don't have a lot of control over that part of it. You only have control over what you have control of, and that might not be very much because schedules are off, and we know students need that regular schedule. They need to always be in a position where they are able to, focus. And October, because there are so many special events happening and the air is crisp and cool. It might be a little bit chilly where you are. Don't know. Where we are in Alabama, it is beautiful, cool fall weather. And that means that kiddos want to be outside and they have all this extra energy. And, you probably have some extra energy too. So be thoughtful about that. A lot of what's happening is totally out of your control, and that's okay. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to do what I call the October mindset shift. So what that means is that you are going to, instead of trying to fight the chaos, the old saying, they don't fight City Hall. Well, instead of trying to fight that chaos, I want you to harness it. I want you to do the fun and the silly and the high energy and those types of activities that are actually going to be your best classroom management tool right now. So if you reframe your thinking, that is really going to help you. It is really going to, let go of my classroom has to be a certain structure, because guess what? It's not going to happen. You're going to have chaos. You're going to have kids off schedule. You're going to have kids maybe stressed out. We are in, at least here, we have been in school for a little over 2 months. So we've got kiddos who are looking at grades and looking at test scores and getting nervous about things already. So, all of the things are happening, and it's kind of like the perfect storm of, oh my gosh. So what you want to do is you want to make that mindset shift and just harness that chaos. Just get it where, you know what? It's okay. There's going to be more talking, and I'm okay with that. In fact, I'm going to plan more talking. There's going to be more chaos, and I'm okay with that. In fact, I am going to intentionally build chaos in, build silly in, build high energy activities in. The other thing that you do not want to do is you do not want to teach anything new, especially, let's say, from today, which this episode is airing on October 15th, through the end of the month, because there's too much crazy going on. I know in the school that I teach in, they have all kinds of, last week was Last week was homecoming and there was a dress up day every day. And, that throws off behavior. And then you've got red ribbon week and you may have a dress up day every day that week. You may have your school fundraiser happening and you may have a dress up day you could potentially be in October dressing up every single day. So what I want to tell you is just let go of all of that and use it to your advantage. Give yourself grace, give yourself the opportunity to just enjoy, and don't teach anything new because guess what? They don't have the focus. I'm doing what I call fluffy lessons all month long. That's what I say you should do. And a fluffy lesson that's my own coined term for a lesson that doesn't fit any unit, that isn't really teaching a skill. Instead, it's reviewing a skill. And if you have not yet become part of my email community, this is the time to do that. The way you do it is by going to thehappymusicteacher.com/lesson plan sampler. And you'll get 3 lesson plans. 2 of them are storybook lessons, and one of them is a really fun outdoor activity using bouncy balls that you could totally use this time of the year because the weather is so gorgeous. It is a review lesson that's going to review the note names and how to recognize the notes and the note duration. So, and it's just basic notes, whole note, half note, quarter note, paired eighth notes. That is it. So the way you do that again is thehappymusicteacher.com/lesson plan sampler. And you will get an email that says, do you really want to subscribe? Make sure you click, yes, I really want to subscribe. And then from there, you're going to get the 3 lesson plans. But more importantly, you're going to get information every Friday from now until the end of the school year on different Friday, I call it Friday Fun Day. And you will get, in the next couple of weeks, you're going to get some really fun Halloween, just free fun activities that you can use in your classroom. So that is a really good thing to do. And those are going to be brain breaks and video play-alongs and body percussion, anything that's a really cool brain break. And they're good review. So one of the things that when we're talking about October, the first thing you want to think about is, yes, you're going to embrace that chaos, but what are you going to do when a disruption happens? So you want to put in place some simple strategies that are going to keep your kids engaged while their bodies and brains are buzzing from holiday excitement and schedule changes. And so one of the ways that I like to do that is, like I said, with some fluffy lessons, but I also like to keep the kiddos really moving and grooving and doing their thing and, acting like kids and being silly. And that is one of the ways that I like to handle that. Now, if you have a situation where the chaos gets out of control, then you'll have some strategies in place. And one of the strategies that I like to use is the stop. So the way it works is, no matter what's happening, if we are moving and some kiddo is pushing through kids, I'll be like, stop or freeze. And I'll be like, Celine, you are not being safe. Or I may just compliment kiddos who are being safe. And I may say, I love the way Ramsey has his space around him. I love the way he's keeping his eyes open. I love the way Janesha is walking instead of jogging or running. I love the way that John has his eyes open and he is looking around. I can tell he's being really safe and careful. So those are 2 ways you can do the stop, or you can do that compliment. And as soon as you start that compliment, I'm telling you, kids look around and they're like, oh, I want her to say my name. So, those are some good ways to tackle those disruptions. Obviously, if somebody is being really unsafe, then you'll have your rest area and they can go rest in the rest area for a couple minutes. I have my secret weapon Apple Watch, and I'll just tell Siri to set a timer, a Genetia timer for 10 minutes or whatever it happens to be. Now, the next couple of minutes, I am going to tell you about some favorite activities that are going to require very little prep and are going to guarantee high student buy-in and instant engagement. And one of them is a story-based lesson that I like to use called Room on the Broom. And when you join my email community, Happy Highlights, that's what I call it. When you join that community by going to thehappymusicteacher.com/lesson plan sampler, you are going to get links to all of these lesson plans that are inside my shop. You can peruse the shop right now by going to thehappymusicteacher.com/shop. But we have story-based lessons, and one of the storybooks that I like to use is called Room on the Broom. And it's all about a witch, and the witch is flying on her broom, and that's a picture of her flying on her broom. And there was a cat, and the cat was purring, and the wind blew, and it blew the hat right off. And they go down, 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 down. You can already see where I'm going with this, right? And a dog finds the hat. And he says, "Is there room on the broom for a dog like me?" And then she's flying along, and the hat... But, oh no, the cat stays on, but the bow blows away. And when the bow blows away, she's looking for it. Down, 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 down. And they run into a bird. And the bird says, "Is there room on the broom for a bird like me?" So there is a repeating pattern in this book. And what I like to do with this book is I like to do a little bit of instrument exploration. And we read the story first. You can also find it on YouTube, and I will link to that in the show notes in case you don't have access to this book, but you can order it on Amazon for like nothing, right? And it usually comes in like 2 days. So if you have this book, I definitely recommend reading it instead of showing the video. But if you wanted to show the video, that could kind of be part of your whole lesson plan. Now, my lesson plan has a different rhythm for every animal and a different instrument for every animal. And what I love to do with this is, you know how I remember one year in a long, long time ago, there was a 5th grader in my school, and he was like, "Miss Shorey," I was Shorey at the time, "Miss Shorey, are we ever going to play that bass drum?" And I would be like, "Well, I thought we've played it, right?" And he was like, "I've never gotten to play it." And that really gave me a wake-up call, and I was like, you know what? I want to start using some of those instruments that they are dying to use, right? That big bass drum, or the cymbals, or, you know, any of those instruments, the steel drum, if you have a steel drum, any of those instruments that your kiddos are just dying to play. So you can, I've got different instruments for this, like some of those instruments that you never get to play. The frog scraper for the frog, and we use the cymbals, and, you know, all kinds of different instruments. So that is Room on the Broom. And I like to use Room on the Broom for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And believe it or not, even your 5th graders are going to be totally into it, because you are pulling out instruments that they don't normally get to play. Plus, you're talking about up and down, and it's just a really good book. The next one I want to talk about, this one is for littles. This is called Leaf Trouble, and it's by Jonathan Emmett, and it is all about a squirrel who loves playing in his tree, but he notices that something is happening to the leaves. They have changed color and they are falling down, 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 down. And it's Pip and Blossom, and Pip and Blossom start gathering up the leaves and trying to put them back on the tree. And their mom is like, that's not going to work. What are you two up to? She says. And she finds out and she smiles and she's like, Pip, the tree has to lose its leaves because now it gets to rest. And so this is a great story for I love to use the wind, and when the wind blows, we get out the chimes and we get to play the chimes. One person gets to play the chimes, and then we have some other instruments in here, and we talk about going down, and we get on our Orff instruments. And again, this is for littles, so I may, with my pre-K, I may be down, 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 and we may float down to the ground, that sort of thing. But this is a very active lesson. It's very engaging. I do this one part of it where I spread fall leaves. So I bought some leaves at Michael's, and we spread the fall leaves all over the room, and they get to pick up a leaf and they get to dance with the leaf. It is a great, great lesson plan. You will love it. So that is Leaf Trouble by Jonathan Emmett. Now, if you're not so into storybooks, there are some other really good lesson plans that you can use. One of them is Spooky Scary Skeletons, and I love to get my room completely dark. If you have never used black lights in your classroom, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is an amazing thing to be able to do. And I've got these glow in the dark, they're white, so of course they're going to glow in the dark skeletons. And then we dance with our skeletons to Spooky Scary Skeletons. And then I always tell the kids to wear something like really dark so that the only thing they can see are the skeletons dancing. And then we talk a little bit about how a skeleton would move and why it would be kind of jerky. And that gives me an opportunity to talk about staccato. And then we dance like skeletons to Spooky Scary Skeletons. And then I've got a whole orchestration that you can use, and that again is inside my website shop. So that one is another good one. Now I also have Halloween Night, which I'll link to in the show notes, and that one you can find on YouTube. It's an original song, and it talks all about different there's a vampire and a witch and all the Halloween characters, and that one has a really fun lesson plan to go with it, where we do the singing, and this one is more a steady beat activity. So we get a couple different instruments out, and we are going to keep the steady beat. We may walk the steady beat, we may jog the steady beat. We do a whole bunch of steady beat activities, and then there's one part where it goes ooh, and on that part they can float like ghosts. So it's lots of really, really good movement, and that one is a lot of fun. And then I have one more for you. This is To the Old Lady Who Swallowed Some Leaves by Lucille Calandro. And this one is awesome because, again, you can do a fall leaves song, and I give you the fall leaves song to do, and we model using our hands. This one is more for littles, of course. And then we talk about, I've got another original song called Leaves Are Falling, and the students get to walk around, and every time the leaves are falling, they get to float to the ground. And we use the chimes again to make the wind sound. Then they get to pick up a leaf, and again, like the other one, they get to flutter and float and twirl and whirl. So not only are we doing movement, but we're also working on some great vocabulary. So this is awesome, and they get to use those leaves. And then I read the storybook, There Was an Old Lady Who Swallowed Some Leaves, and we use our rhythm sticks, or we use our body percussion, patting our legs, patching, if you will, to when we're reading the storybook. So lots and lots and lots of good activities for the fall. And the cool thing is there is actually, you can order each one individually on my website, thehappymusicteacher.com/shop, or you can get them all together in a bundle. And right now the bundle is 40% off. And that will last till November 1st. So if you are listening to this episode later and it's still October, you have a chance to take advantage of that sale. So let's go back and do a quick recap. First of all, we know, we can acknowledge that October is a very difficult month to teach in. Kids have settled in, their schedules are off, there's this holiday and that holiday and this dress up day, and there's all the things going on. So you are going to plan fluffy lessons, and those lessons are going to be high energy, high movement, lots of review, very little talking or teaching for you. And you are going to tackle those disruptions by keeping your kids engaged and by kind of harnessing that holiday excitement. Make sure you have a plan in place for if it gets too chaotic. Remember, we've got our stop, and then we've got our just shower them with compliments, and both of those work really well. I recommend trying the compliments first unless it's something that's very unsafe. And then do activities that have instant engagement. Find some of those lesson plans. You can get the links in the show notes to all of those lesson plans in my shop, thehappymusicteacher.com/shop. And don't forget to join my email community so you get those free resources. Every Friday, you get a new brain break or a video play along or whatever it happens to be. Happy October.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com.
Well, that's all I have for you today. But before I go, I want to remind you, keep learning, keep growing, and keep being fabulous you.